So she is Dr. Latrice Rideout. She has a PhD. She's a certified trainer with Dale Carnegie Training. She is focused on improving the performance of individuals, teams, and organizations. Her diverse career began as mental health and social services professional, has expanded to include career employment services, organizational training and development, and institutional effectiveness/institutional research. She is a certified career services provider through National Career Development Association. She has a passion to empower others toward personal and professional fulfillment. She has lots of affiliations, and it's through one of these affiliations that I met her, because we were both networking in the same place. The Association for Talent Development, the Austin Career Development Network, Austin Human Resource Management Association. She is on the Launchpad Job Club Board of Directors, National Career Development Association. She has a PhD in psychology, industrial organizational specialization. She has an MA in marriage and family therapy, in case you need her services there. She has a BA in psychology. She is a certified career services provider, has a graduate certificate in higher education assessment and a graduate certificate in institutional research. Good Lord. I'm exhausted. Latrice Rideout, PhD.
Thank you, Kathy. Can you all hear me? Yes. Okay, great. I am mic'd up. Well, thank you, Kathy, for having me here today. And as Kathy mentioned, she and I met through a networking event, and she invited me to come here to Launchpad, and I did so. It's been some months ago now, and then we met on another occasion, and we talked about, becoming a member of the board, and so I've done that, and I have an opportunity to be here, and I look forward to being here more often. Oftentimes I travel between here and Houston. I'm originally from Houston, so I do trainings with Dale Carnegie between here and Houston. And we're all here because we understand, let me make sure I don't get in the way, we're all here because we understand the importance of networking and how that can enhance our careers. And networking isn't just for when we are looking for a job or looking for advancement. We continue to network throughout our careers because you never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to interact with. It can be, it's something meaningful personally, through a charity, not just careers. So there's all sorts of reasons why we would want to continue to network and continue to have those business contacts. Oftentimes, and I'll say that I'm guilty of this sometimes, I consider I'm purposeful. So usually, when I call someone on the phone, it can be a family member, it's usually either to give or receive information. So when the phone rings, my husband calls, I'm like, what do you want? Are you calling to say something? No, I'm just calling to say hi. I'm just calling to say, hello. Sisters do that, mom does that, and I'm like, oh, okay. But usually it's, I need to tell them something, or I need to ask them something. And so sometimes that's when we reach out. It's like, oh, what does that person want? That person wants something. Now that person is coming around because that person is looking for a job. Now I hear from that person, they saw an opening. But we want to continue those networks and those relationships, because everything is built upon relationships. That's one of the things that we teach in Dale Carnegie, that we believe that life is built upon relationships. So maintaining those things, not just when we're looking for something or when we need something or when we want something. And so this is just a way of showing a visual of those different ways we can interact with people and meet people and get to know people, throughout, our lives and our experiences. And data shows, this is from PayScale. This was a study done in 2017. They're showing the importance of networks, and they show in visuals and some numbers, and they're showing that 85% of open positions are filled through networking. Isn't that amazing? It's an old adage my mom used to always say growing up, it's not always what you know, it's who you know. And I heard earlier in the smaller group, Kathy was saying that, oftentimes we have the experience, we have the background, we have the degree, and then someone else who we don't think is as qualified as we are ends up getting the position. How does that happen? Possibly it could be because that person had an inside track, or they found out about an opportunity before it was even posted. And often, employers have to post the positions. They have to go through the process. But I honestly believe that sometimes they already know who they want. Sometimes, not all the time, but just sometimes. Okay, and it says here that as many as 80% of jobs are never posted. They aren't listed. Sometimes they just, I've even heard of situations where people know someone. We know that person. We want to get that person in our organization. What do we have in our budget to create something to fit that person's skill set? Wouldn't that be amazing? To have that kind of favor, to be able to do that. And then also it's showing that 40% of new hires are done through referrals. Some companies have a referral system where employees get, some kind of, a bonus or something for referring people. Those things are out there. So just continue to interact with people you know, and it's not always about, oh, are you all hiring? Are you all hiring? Just keeping those relationships up. But oftentimes, where do we spend our time when we're looking? We spend our time on the hours, on the websites, looking at the jobs on Monster, Indeed, and nothing's wrong with that. We need to also interact and get away from the computer screen and just looking and applying for things. I say do those types of things after hours, perhaps, and during the day when you can be out at events like this. Get out and actually meet people. And then when nobody's meeting, when you're at home, then you can start doing those things because you want to have a combination of things that you're doing. Because the more things that we do, the more opportunities possibly come our way. And this is just a visual of, the numbers aren't exactly the same, and I think they were done, this is through Right Management. And I think it's because they were probably taken at two different points in time. So one is 2017, and I think this is a little bit older. But we still see that, I don't know if this has a light here. I don't want to change it. But that networking is the quadrant that has the most effectiveness in people getting opportunities. And I'll tell you something that just happened Wednesday. This is Friday. So Wednesday, I was driving to speak at Austin Business Journal. Now, this is my first time speaking there. And I was there just because one of my colleagues who normally speaks there was unable to because she was double booked and she had to be in Houston. So she asked me about 2 weeks ago if I could speak. She'd already chosen the topic. And it wasn't even about networking. It was about storytelling and the effectiveness of storytelling in a business context. So I said, sure, I'll do it for you. And she told me where to go, who to ask for, what time to be there. And, oh, I really appreciate this. I really appreciate it. So as I'm driving, I'm listening to the radio, and this is about an hour drive for me. And the gentleman I was listening to talk radio, and he was saying how people can be gatekeepers that you don't even know. You might go to a job interview, and you're trying to impress the person with the title, the person that's going to interview you, the person with the suit and the tie. And it's the person that oftentimes we just pass by and ignore that could be the gatekeeper to that. You may not know it, but it could be the receptionist at the front. It could just be, just a happenstance meeting. They just happen, they said, you never know who might be that gatekeeper. So I get to the meeting at Austin Business Journal, first time there, and just before the meeting, about 10 minutes before I was about to speak, I see my husband come in the hallway. What are you doing here? And I know he was asking me questions the night before. Where are you going tomorrow? Oh, what time is it? And I'm like, why? And I told him, and he was asking me, why? And so he's never done that before. Is he here today? Okay. But he just showed up. He said, hey, I'm here to support you. And he just started a new job with Austin ISD maybe a month ago. So now he was in the vicinity. It was like a lunch and learn. He showed up because he's not far away. So I'm like, okay. I didn't even tell people my husband was there in the crowd. And so at the beginning, we kind of did what Kathy did, but it wasn't even as formal. I just said, hey, introduce yourselves to one another, greet each other, the person next to you or around, maybe about 5 minutes to just do that. And then I said, anybody, meet anybody interesting, interesting, story you want to, It wasn't even come up to the front, it was just, hey, anybody? And then one of the guys there said, he said her name. He said, I'm new here. And he said, I met her. And she said, yeah, I'm new here. And welcome to Austin. And when did you get? I just got, here just maybe a month ago. I'm here new to the country. I'm from Belgium. And wow, well, welcome to the United States. And she says, yeah, I'm just here. This is my first time here. He said, what brought you? My husband got a position here. I don't know where. My husband got a position here. We relocated here. And so I'm here just meeting people. And I have a background in semiconductors. She has a PhD in physics. It's like, wow, glad you're here. And they just went around the room introducing themselves. Well, near the end, when we had another breakout thing, my husband didn't stay for the whole time. He comes up to me, and he whispers in my ear, something, and I shake my head. And he leaves. I thought he was going to stay and take me out to lunch. He leaves. And so while they're, talking in their group, I passed that young lady a note from Belgium. And I said, here's my email. Email me. My husband knows someone in the semiconductor business. My husband doesn't know anything about semiconductors. I don't know anything about semiconductors. He doesn't know anything about physics. But later on that night, I said, well, who do you know? He works for the school district. And he said, I was involved with, the community relations and volunteer work and doing community service. He said, and it's one of the gentlemen that's on our board that he's in the semiconductor industry. And he's a great guy. We work together with Coats for Kids, and he's been working at this company 20 years. And when she said that, it just reminded me of him. And he had already emailed the gentleman saying, I met someone. And the gentleman copied me, because my husband copied me on there. And it was on my text. And he said, have her send me her information, her contact, her resume. I don't know if we have anything, but I will forward it to management and see if we have something with her fitting her skill set. Now, that was all yesterday. She forwarded me her resume yesterday, sent it to him, copied him. Now they're communicating with each other and saying, absolutely, I'm going to forward it. Thank you for your information. Hope we get a chance to meet them. It's too soon to know. I don't know what's going to happen with that situation. But what I do know is that it never would have happened had she not been there, had she decided, well, I don't know anyone here. I'm depressed. I'm here supporting my husband. I'm just going to, stay at home and, have coffee. I don't know anyone. I'm sad, and just stay at home. It wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened had my husband not shown up by chance. It wouldn't have happened had I not accepted that opportunity to speak for my colleague because she couldn't do it, and I stepped in and did it. And so without knowing, those connections were made. And we were all gatekeepers in a sense. I guess I was a gatekeeper for her. My husband was a gatekeeper, had the connection to this gentleman. This gentleman is the gatekeeper who can possibly introduce her to someone who has hiring authority for what she's looking for in research in physics with a semiconductor company. And so that's how things can happen. But my husband has never met a stranger. I'll go even further back. For him to have gotten that job where he was with that school district, and how you said you have to hear several no's, the job that he had, he'd applied for it some months prior and did not even get called in for an interview. What happened with that, we were in Louisiana at a softball game. His niece plays softball for DePaul. They were closer in Louisiana, so it was a nearby state. Paul's in Chicago. We can't often make it there. She was in the South playing at a tournament. They were playing in Louisiana against La Tech. We're there, and when we're leaving in the parking lot, he happens to see a former colleague who's a coach who he used to coach with in Houston. The gentleman now lives in Austin. His daughter transferred from whatever school she was originally accepted to. She didn't like it. She's playing on the softball team at La Tech against our niece at DePaul. They see each other. They talk in the parking lot for like 30 minutes, an hour after the game. Hey, yeah. He knew the young lady, but he just didn't know she went to La Tech. We were there for another reason. But when you interact and get to know people and talking and having conversations and just meeting people. And so he talked to this gentleman, they exchanged, well, you know, oh, yeah. They exchanged information, and he just stayed in touch with him. And when he found out, he said, you know, I applied for a job with that school district and didn't even get a call. So he just stayed in touch with him. You know, I know you're proud of your baby girl. They had a great season. Just, you know, things about that, you know, about the doctor, you know, what's going on, how are things going? Well, 6 months passed by, and that same position that he didn't even get a call for opened again. He got the job this time. That's how he met the gentleman at the semiconductor company. And see how all this ties together? And so we don't know, you know, who's in this room or who we might have a chance meeting with. You might say, oh, that's luck. Well, they said the definition of lucky is when preparation meets opportunity. And so while you're here in the meantime, and while you're waiting for that next opportunity, and while you're preparing for it, continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to, you know, because things, especially in technology and different fields, they're always advancing, they're always changing. So stay up to date, stay relevant with those things. And you're preparing yourself, because if you're already ready, you don't have to get ready. You're already ready. You know, and he's great at that. I'm a little bit guilty. I'm a friendly person. But sometimes I have to be in the mood. You know, sometimes I'm not always, you know, and it's always those times where you see somebody. I remember one time I was going to the grocery store. This was in Houston. And it was in the morning. I just want to get some milk. You know, I just put some jeans on, just some flip-flops. I had a sweater, you know, with the hoodie. Saturday morning, I'm just running here to get some milk. I ain't hair, no makeup, nothing, you know. And I park, and lo and behold, I see Dr. Wilson that works at the university where I work. And it's a weekend, and he's not in a suit and tie, but he's still in nice khaki pants. He's, you know, starched pleat, button-down shirt, tucked-in polo, belt. And I'm like, I'm just going to sit in the car until he leaves. And I did. I waited until I saw him get out of his car, go in the grocery store, and I sat there for at least 30 to 45 minutes in that car. Because I did not, because the time I get out of the car, there I'm going to see somebody I know in HEB, Dr. Rideout! So, but you just never know. You just never know. So, let's see. Oh, I don't want to show you that yet. So, I will, yeah, that's a teaser. Sorry, real quick. So, let's do this. So, as Kathy mentioned, I am a trainer with Dale Carnegie. So, how can we do this when we go into an environment where we might not know anyone or we don't know a lot of people and we're just networking? So, we'll have a little networking exercise of what we do. So, just picture spaghetti. Spaghetti. What do you see? What comes to your mind when you see spaghetti? Yeah. A tangle? A tangle. Explain that to me.
It's all twisted up. And,
Okay. The noodles.
Yeah, it's not organized.
Okay. Okay, who else? Spaghetti. What comes to mind?
I pictured the package of it at the grocery store. Long.
Before you even cook it in the thing. Okay. Wow. Who else? Yes, ma'am.
I see it with sauce and meatballs on it.
Sauce and meatball. That's the way I like to see it. You had your hand up?
She took my thunder, but some bread to design.
Some bread. What, garlic bread?
Yep.
Awesome. Sounds great. Now, did anybody picture SPAGHETTI, the word spaghetti? No, because often our mind thinks in pictures, and that's the way we remember things. And so the crazier the picture, the more details we can add to it. If we can add color or animation or something to those details, the more we remember it. So picture this. When you're at a networking event, you have a nameplate on the very bottom, a bronze nameplate, okay? And on the top of that nameplate is a smiling face. The yellow smiling face is a smiling face. So you got the nameplate, you have the smiling face. And then on top of the smiling face is a briefcase. I know it's crazy, but it's a briefcase, okay? And then coming out of that briefcase, like tickets, like raffle tickets or admit one, you know, I had it up here earlier, like red, you know, it was tickets. So what was on the base? Nameplate. What was that up? Smiley face? Briefcase. It's coming out of the briefcase. Tickets. Okay. And then with those tickets, they're wrapped around, it's crazy, they're wrapped around a roadblock. A road, you know, those roadblock signs with the red and white, like a barricade. It's a roadblock. Yeah. So it's a roadblock right there. And then from the roadblock, it's a trophy. It's bizarre dream. I know, it's crazy. So what's after the briefcase? The tickets. The roadblock. The trophy. Okay, so now coming out of the trophy, it's like a hands, like a helping hand. They're holding each other, the hand. Okay, like a helping hand. Okay. And then from that, the exit sign. Exit sign. So let's do it from the beginning. What's at the bottom? Nameplate. Smiley face. Case. Tickets. The roadblock. Trophy. Helping hand. Exit signs. So, how can that be used in networking? Nameplate. You go somewhere. What's the first thing you might want to do? Introduce yourself. Ask what's their name. Okay? Hi, I'm such and such. My name's Latrice. How are you? You get that information. The smiling face is just smile and be friendly. Be approachable. Right? What can the briefcase symbolize? Job. What kind of work do you do? What's your background? Okay? You can ask all kinds of questions around that. You can have a conversation. How long have you been doing that? Wow. You know, they might, you know, I'm relocated here, been working there 20 years, or I'm new to this, or I'm looking for a career change. But all kinds of things can come out of that. Now, ticket. That might be a little funny.
Free drinks.
It could be a business card. You can do all kinds of things with it. What brought you here is like an admin one. What brought you here? What do you hope to gain from being here? Do you come here often? It's like a ticket to get into somewhere. What brought you here? Yeah, it was your business card, something like that.
It could be the ticket that you meet somebody that can help you.
Absolutely. It's just a visual and where can I take this? You can focus a conversation on any one of those things, okay? And then after the ticket, we have the roadblock. What can that symbolize? I would actually, if I had done this, if I had come up with this concept on my own, I probably would have put the trophy and then the roadblock. But the roadblock can symbolize, what, are you seeing any challenges? What kind of challenges, you know, have you encountered? Or what's, you know, some of the changes going on in your industry? Or what's some of the challenges in your industry? Okay? What could the trophy?
Meeting someone new.
Meeting someone new. It could be, what have you found, how have you found your success?
Yeah, what are your achievements?
Yeah, what's going well? Yeah, you're sharing those successes, okay? What's going well? Oh, wow. And talk about that. And the helping hand, the hand. Exactly. And I think that flows out of the roadblock, the helping hand, So if they are facing a challenge or their industry is a challenge, I know someone who, or you might be that person. Really, what, I was just talking with someone, in fact, I have experience, that's not an uncommon problem. In fact, I dealt with that in my own organization, and we were able to do this, that, and the other. So now you're offering, a helping hand to them. You're helping them with their problem. If you can help be the solution to somebody's problem, you'll always be valuable. Okay? And the next is something. Just leave. Just, what it is oftentimes when we go to networking events, and especially if we're, not as extroverted or we don't know a lot of people there, sometimes we tend to just stay with the people that we know. If we come with another person or we know somebody, we see someone that we know, we gravitate to that person and we stay with that person. The idea is to meet other people and to, excuse yourself from that and work the room in a sense. So, and then you go this process all over. Hi, my name is Latrice. It's a pleasure to meet you. And you go through that process all over with the next person. You might say, exit, hey, let's catch up, and have your information on LinkedIn. But that's what it symbolizes. So think of those pictures, and that's how you can have a conversation at a networking event. Okay? And we won't necessarily go through all of these in detail, but you might want to take a picture and we can, something that might, stand out to you. And we talked about this with the helping hand. Give value to other people. Okay? So don't just go there, trying to, sell. But find out how you can be of service. How can we be of value? How can I be of value? Can I help you in any way? Okay? Sharing your information and abilities with others, or information or knowledge that you might have. Okay? We talked about being approachable with smiling, and because when we smile, people are drawn towards us, right? Okay? And of course, following up, if we say we're going to do something with someone or send them some information, you want to do that. And then you also want to send a note. It says a personal note. It can be a handwritten, or, nowadays we email each other or send a text or something like that. Okay? Okay? And I talked about this just a couple of days ago, with the introducing, to each other. You might not know. I didn't even know the gentleman who I was introducing this young lady to. My husband knew this person. Neither one of us work in that industry. But, it was a common thread there. Okay? And sometimes I was just at an event, since I was downtown Austin on Wednesday, I decided to go to a networking event. And a lady sat next to me, and she looked, her name seemed familiar, but I don't know if I know her, but her name really looks familiar. And it dawned on me. I said, we just connected on LinkedIn yesterday, right? And she said, yes, I knew you were going to be here. Because she saw, I guess, the guest list or some kind of way she saw it. She said, and she purposely sat next to me. And so that's how sometimes you are able to, I guess on LinkedIn, they said, I'm attending this event, and it shows in your network who else is attending this event. And so she purposely did that. So we don't always have access to that, but if we do, then find out in advance, who's going to be there. And then, and this is another thing I'm a little guilty of, but show up early, because sometimes we get there right when things are supposed to start, or sometimes right when we think it's getting good, that's when we show up. And so I'm guilty of that. But oftentimes it's, before the actual meeting starts, where people are mixing and mingling and they have a little free time and they're more relaxed and things of that sort. So it says, look your best. And it depends on the situation also. It depends on where you are in the environment. So if it's dressed down, then you dress down. I heard a story, it's been probably a year ago. And it's I don't know him, but I was reading, it's a gentleman who has a similar background that I have. in data and psychology and people analytics. And somebody who knew him saw him but did not recognize him. And he was working, it's like a train job, he was working with a professional football team. And you know how in sports and athletics, how they use data nowadays to show, use it in all sports, but I think it started in baseball actually, where it's a numbers game and statistics and showing, on average this. So he was the data analyst, the statistician, guy with a PhD working for a professional NFL team. And he was, shorts, ball cap, T-shirt, team logo, just like, them. And the gentleman who saw him said, I didn't recognize you. Because at his other job, he was used to seeing him in a suit and tie and, but he said, well, if I dress like that over there, then they would look at me like I'm crazy. What are you doing in a suit and tie? And we're all in sweats and, so dress like the environment that you're in, to be comfortable, but you want to be appropriate. So that's how I would, handle that situation. And then remembering people's names and using them. That's a big thing. If you want to impress people, remember their names. And that's a whole different session on different techniques to remember people's names. But my husband, I didn't even notice it. He said, that was amazing. And I didn't remember everybody's name. But I called out about 6 different people that I'd met prior to the session on Wednesday. He said, and he told me that, he said, that was really impressive how you actually remembered those people's names and called them out, because it was really an interactive session. So you called them out. He said, it was a guy in the back, you called his name, and he just sat up. And I didn't even notice it. I said, really? I said, wow. And I remember I had a job interview, once. It was one of my no's, but one of the things that they were really impressed with, and it was a panel, and I was a finalist, but they hired internally, so I understand that and I can appreciate that when they do that and hire internally for an upper level position. I was able to remember everyone's name. I kind of cheated and took some notes, while they were talking, and but I thanked each one of them, and then I was able to send a thank you email to each one of them because I remembered their name, and I looked up and I remembered what position they said they had, and I just went on the website and found the contact us and typed in an employee's name, and it showed their email, and I was able to send everyone a personal thank you note. When you can do things like that, and you take the time to do that research, that makes you stand out, okay? From 2 equally qualified people, who do you think might have the better chance in that situation? So, okay? And the last set that we'll go over, okay? Be fun, have energy, be energetic, act like you're happy to be there and not a hostage. You're there just because you have to be. We see that from time to time, okay? And it says stand close to the entrance. Sometimes we stand, at the very back, but when you stand at an entrance, you see who's coming and going? I want to tell my sister. She has his favorite spot. She lives in Tennessee. And she has his favorite restaurant, and she sits right at the front. And I almost hate to go with her because she's like, oh, we're just going to go. Because my family's from Louisiana. Oh, we're just going to go, and we're just going to get some crawfish. We'll just be there for, maybe an hour. Just get a drink and some crawfish. 3 hours later. But we didn't pay for anything because she knew so many people. She saw everybody coming and go, hey, what are you doing? Hey, good to see you. Hey. I said, let's get some crawfish. Oh, yeah, let's get some oysters. Hey, yeah, let's get some. I'm like, oh, my goodness. And everybody wants, I'm like, no more treating us to drinks. No more. Because she would sit and see everybody who came and went in that restaurant. She was like Cheers, like she was a regular. Anybody old enough to remember Cheers other than right. Yeah, that's her Cheers, okay? That's her spot, okay? And then also spending time, I mentioned this earlier, with people that you don't know, because oftentimes we gravitate to the people that we do know, because that's our comfort zone. But we grow when we step outside of our comfort zones, okay? So spend time with people that you don't know. And then also find out about other people before talking about yourself or trying to sell yourself. And people will think you are a great conversationalist when you let them talk about themselves oftentimes. All right, the best conversation with someone. And you just listen and continue asking questions about themselves, and you get to know other people, okay? And reciprocate that. And like I said, establish that rapport.